Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. It's Friday, January 3rd, 2025. We are undergoing this big change in the weather pattern that's continuing to bring colder air into the eastern part of the nation and warmer, milder air to the west. That's typically what happens in the wintertime when we get a big trough of low pressure driving down Canadian air from the Arctic as well into the central and eastern part of the country. You always have a ridge of high pressure that is keeping the west rather mild. This is the satellite picture, the Goes East satellite picture. By the way, this update is being done for the All Hazards Consortium, the sensitive information sharing environment where we share information between private sector liaisons that work in state emergency operations centers and also private sector organizations in the food, fuel, medical supply, logistics, transportation, communication sectors, so we can make sure we all come together to support any response activities that are needed after major events. And we may indeed be having a major event developing over the weekend and into Monday with a combination of heavy snow and also freezing rain. We're going to detail all of that coming up in just a minute. But first, I want to show you the bigger picture. Meteorologists call it the synoptic picture, where we can take a look at more of the globe and then we'll zero in on some things. So you can see this is the Goes East satellite picture. Look at this. Here comes the sunset. But we are getting more light each day in the northern hemisphere as we passed the winter solstice on 21st of December, but still it's coming in early. Sun's already beginning to set. You can see twilight right here in the mid-Atlantic states. Sunset, the Terminator line, the darkness is just approaching, and it's over Maine right now, dark where you folks are here, and it's just 4:11 in the afternoon. But you can see what's going on. You can see a big circulation up here over Maine and north of Maine, actually here in eastern provinces of Canada. That's driving down cold air into the U.S. and also into southern Canada, where we do have snow. And I'm going to zoom in on this area right here in just a second. It's pretty cool what we can see with satellite imagery. The GOES satellite is so high resolution. The NOAA GOES satellite in geostationary orbit, 22,300 miles up, that it can see snow on the ground after it falls and clouds move out of the way, and we can see that snow on the ground. But in the meantime, it's pretty clear. Beautiful day down in Florida and the southeast part of the nation, even up into the Midwest. It's a beautiful day, but things are going to change as we get a low pressure system developing in the Colorado Rockies and then moving out across the Midwest and taking a beeline for Virginia. And anybody to the north of that low pressure system is going to get a pretty heavy dose of snow. In many cases, the most snow in the last couple of years, perhaps in the mid-Atlantic area. But let me do this. Let me zoom in on this interactively. Let's take it full screen so I can show you what it looks like. So here's the Earth, at least the northern hemisphere. Equator is down here. You can see that. And this is the intertropical convergence zone. We can look all the way into South America as well. Remember, low pressure systems, boy, they spin clockwise in the southern hemisphere. High pressure systems spin counterclockwise. And look at this. Look at this moving across here. What do you think that is? Yes, for those of you who guessed, it's sun glint. It's the reflection of the sun off the Pacific Ocean. And you can see it as the Earth rotates. Look at that, the sun moving, sun glint moving from east to west. Well, let me get back here to the United States and we'll zero in on this area here. Look at this in the Midwest across Iowa and across northern Illinois into Indiana and a lot of Ohio here. Look at that. That is snow on the ground. You can see the rivers through the snow because the snow has melted when it hits the rivers that aren't frozen, of course. And look at that narrow band of snow. This is what we're going to be talking about actually for Sunday into Monday too. Another band of snow about this narrow, but situated a little further south into Nebraska and Kansas, and then across Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. But this band of snow is going to extend all the way into West Virginia, and into Maryland. That will be experiencing probably its largest snow in the last 3 years. That's going to be quite amazing because people tend not to remember how to drive in the snow, but that's another story. This is what's going on. You can see the strong winds coming across the Appalachians, and look at these little bumps in the clouds here. As a matter of fact, I want to do something cool. I want to take you over to the high-resolution new NOAA satellite. This is the GOES-19 satellite that's not operational yet. NOAA's checking it out, calibrating it, validating the data and everything, but we have access to it. And I want to show you this cool imagery. Look at this. This is from the GOES-19 satellite, and you can see here comes the sunset, sort of like twilight. And look at these bumps in the clouds. Let's zoom in a little bit more. This is a snow squall, and look at this. It almost looks like convection. As a matter of fact, thunder was heard with snow, so a thunder snow in Washington, D.C. Just about 30 minutes ago, and you can see this line moving through Washington, D.C. right now in Arlington and Alexandria. Heavy snow is falling in some areas, rain just to the south, but as it rains hard, it drags down that cold air, turns it back into snow, and that's what we have. Look at that. Let's take a look at this on radar. I have that up here. Look at this. Here is that band of heavy snow, is a snow squall warning with this. That's what this box is right here. Pretty rare to get a snow squall warning in the Washington, D.C. area, but look how fast this line is moving, bringing visibility down to 0 in some cases, coating the roadways in other cases, making it very slippery. And look, there's another one behind it. Another line of snow, not as intense as this one. Boy, there's going to be more thunder. If those of you have your cell phones out and you're anywhere near the Chesapeake Bay region and southern Anne Arundel County and Prince George's County and down towards Charles County, see if you can roll on that. Take a little bit of thunder snow, see a lightning out there, and send that to me. You can send it to me at dave@stormcenter.com. That'd be pretty cool to show in tomorrow's update. Special marine warning has been issued in the Chesapeake Bay because of this squall, this snow squall coming through at quite a clip. So it could create choppy waves and wind gusts to 40 miles per hour over the Chesapeake Bay. Well, that's pretty amazing. Let's go back to the GOES imagery so I can show you what that looks like. There it is. There is that. Matter of fact, I can try to refresh this. Let's get the latest imagery right here, right now. And here it is. Look at these bumps as the sun gets lower in the sky. You can see those bumps. And here is that very strong snow squall warning coming through there. That could drop a dusting of snow on the ground. And yes, indeed, we do have, a matter of fact, quite a bit of snowfall happened out on Route 66 and out towards the Shenandoah Valley, Winchester, Front Royal. Very heavy snow falling there. Now, let me take you out west a little bit and show you what's going on, because we do have interesting weather going on out west. Well, we always have interesting weather going on, just a matter of what you want to stop and look at using the satellite data. How about this low pressure system? It's moving up, looks like it's moving towards Washington State. It's going to be curving a little bit more and heading up towards Vancouver Island, but it is creating, once again, some pretty heavy rain showers there. It's not really an atmospheric river, but you can see the rain has been coming in and it's starting to clear up a little bit in the southwestern part of Oregon, northwestern part of California. You'll see some more showers moving in, and this cluster of moisture is going to move in and provide the Sierra Nevada with another dumping of snow. It won't last too long, but several hours. Visibilities may be down there close to 0, particularly above 7,000 feet for sure. And you can see this area. This is an atmospheric river with this particular low pressure system well up to the northwest, up towards the Aleutian Islands, the Gulf of Alaska to the east here. That looks like it is going to not create a major atmospheric river for the west coast, but you can see we monitor these all the time as they head towards the west coast, because we want to make sure that all the dam operators, the reservoir operators, make sure that they capture as much water as possible without letting the water go over the dam, and they don't want to create floods downstream. So it's a real tricky job to make sure how much water you want to hold into a reservoir versus how much you want to get rid of. So this low pressure system doesn't have a whole lot of other moisture with it. Cold air, you can see the cold air here shown in these stratocumulus clouds. That's what they are, and that's pretty wild too. So what I want to go back to is the forecast coming up for this weekend, because we do have the chance and a high likelihood of an impactful event going on in the Midwest, stretching over to the mid-Atlantic states. So let's go over to the GFS model, and I'm going to show you this and what it looks like. This is what it looks like from a standpoint of total snow accumulation. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to switch this over here, and the time here is, let's see, that's Wednesday, January 8th. I'm going to take it back to this morning. So this is, or this afternoon, about 2 o'clock this afternoon, just 2 hours ago. In the GFS model, you can see that band of snow that was here to the west, and that did move through. You can see this, I'll advance it, to give some areas in Maryland where there's a winter weather advisory in effect, and that was extended to the south just a little bit. I'll show you that on GeoCollaborate too here coming up. But this is just sort of a precursor for the storm that will be coming on Sunday and Monday. So you get a little bit of shot here of cold air and snow that's reinforcing. Look at this high pressure up here. See the isobars dipping down through Iowa into Missouri and western Kentucky. This is cold air that's driving down behind this disturbance that's moving through the mid-Atlantic right now. And that's going to also fuel the temperature difference, the temperature change around this low pressure system that's going to come out of the Colorado Rockies. Now here we go. This is on Saturday morning, 7 o'clock Saturday morning. Here's the culprit. This is that low pressure system that's developing along and in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado here. Not a whole lot of precipitation associated with that one. There will be some high-level snows that will come up, and you can see that developing here on Saturday night into Sunday. So could be some heavy snow accumulation. Places like Steamboat Springs, Breckenridge, Vail, those ski resorts there, you can see that dumping out. But in the Midwest, this is what's going on. Low pressure is developing, and we have ice, and we have snow and rain. And there is a moisture feed available coming out of the Gulf of Mexico that is going to feed potentially severe weather during the day Sunday into Monday. And the models will pick up on that here as we advance. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is the precipitation field. Look how wide this area gets over a quick period of time. So we're talking here now Sunday morning at 7 a.m. This is the GFS model. Strong high pressure to the north. That's going to keep this low pressure on a west to east track. Not going to let it curve up like most storms do. But this one here is going to be held by this this high pressure to the north with very cold air at the surface. So it's driving very cold air at the surface, and we have warm, moist air coming up underneath this low pressure system, but a little bit higher up. Cold air is denser. It sits down at the surface. Warmer air comes in over top of it. That's why we have this pink area. That's freezing rain and sleet. Freezing rain happens when it's too warm up there where snow is made, or snow falls into warmer temperatures, melts, falls back into freezing temperatures. It doesn't solidify, but it freezes on contact. That is freezing rain. Sleet is just frozen raindrops. If that cold air layer at the surface is deep enough, then we get frozen raindrops or sleet, and that bounces. Freezing rain is not good for power lines and trees, and that's why we're going to dive into this in more detail here in just a few moments. Okay, so now we have this low pressure system wrapping up over Oklahoma, Kansas border. We're going to take this into Sunday afternoon, and you can see heavy snow falling in Kansas. This blue area is basically heavy snow, and the pink area is freezing rain. This is the area we're going to watch for power outages, and you can see this line of showers and storms developing, some of which could be severe. I would not rule out any quick spin-ups either. Potentially weak tornadoes coming out of this line of severe storms that will be developing. And look at this, how it enhances. And this is during the night on Sunday. And we're talking now about potential severe weather at night in Arkansas and northern Mississippi and Louisiana. So I have to watch out for that. Meanwhile, just to the north, areas of freezing rain will be accumulating on wires and trees. And this extends also into Kentucky. I know Kentucky, you have dealt with your ice storms over the last several years, and I know nobody likes an ice storm. You'd rather have snow. This narrow band of snow is going to be continuing to move to the east, and this is at about 2 in the morning Monday. And so that snow continues during the day on Monday, comes down harder in places like Baltimore and Washington, D.C., even down towards Richmond, although Richmond may mix with freezing rain as well. This particular model run shows freezing rain in Richmond and down the Shenandoah Valley here, cold air turning that rain into freezing rain. We're going to be monitoring this very closely because wherever that transition line is, very closely to that rain, freezing rain and snow, that's the heaviest snowfall right in that area. And currently that's over southern Pennsylvania and Maryland and western Maryland, even perhaps western Maryland getting into some freezing rain as well. And then snow on the backside where this cold high pressure is just diving down cold air down into Texas, Louisiana, and also around the Gulf Coast area. So I'll continue this on, and we have snow that's forecast to be happening Monday afternoon. This low pressure will move out pretty quickly, but look at this. We have some residual, perhaps moderate snow showers, even early Tuesday morning could be sticking around in the mid-Atlantic area, and then quickly northerly winds will dry this out and get this snow out of here. It'll be quite windy on Tuesday, and it should start to clear up. But what I want to do now is I'm going to show you the same area, but I'm going to show you the temperatures. Okay, I'm going to go into the thermodynamics here and show you the temperatures. This is the 2-meter temperature anomaly. I'm going to go back to the first part of this, and I'm going to show you up here. This is the real cold air up in Canada and the northern parts of the country, and it's dipping down now into Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas. But watch what happens as this low pressure system develops. Here you see it wrapping up in Oklahoma border, the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas, and then we're going to continue. Look at this. You can really see that warm air being drawn up into Oklahoma, cold air coming down on the backside, and look at what happens. Once that low pressure system really gets cranking, it drives that cold air down. This is a cold front that's going to be moving through. Remember, a cold front is really the leading edge of cold air that's coming down or advecting across any part of a country. This is the cold air that's going to be driving down, and watch what happens here. This drives right down into Texas, and you can see that going on. Meanwhile, here's the low pressure system trying to warm it up over Kentucky. That is warm, moist air. That is why we might have significant icing in parts of Kentucky and also on into southwestern Virginia and Arkansas. I'll continue this into motion. You can see the cold air settling in over the Gulf Coast states. Very cold air, and that is could lead to temperatures close to freezing. think the good news is it may not reach 32 degrees in New Orleans. That cold air will get modified somewhat, but it's certainly going to be frigid to the north, especially where that snow falls. And you can even see reflected in the low temperatures here in the model. This is actually the snowfall on the ground, resulting in colder temperatures than you would normally get. You get a lot of radiational cooling in the evening at nighttime when it's not cloudy, but when you have snow on the ground, it's like a refrigerator. It really keeps that cold air close to the surface there. So that is what it looks like from the standpoint of the temperatures. Now I want to show you the snowfall. 24-hour snowfall. Total snowfall is what I'll show you here, and I'll take this back so you can see this grow. This is Saturday night, so we're starting to see some snow falling in Kansas and parts of Missouri. So this is Saturday night, tomorrow night, and then it's really going to pick up. Look at that. This is by Sunday afternoon at 2 in the afternoon, and look how that path of snow accumulation just continues to the east. And this is what we're looking at right here for snow accumulation. Now, what I'd like to do is go over to GeoCollaborate because I want to spend a few minutes here talking about the impacts and where is this precipitation going to fall? How is it going to fall as snow, freezing rain, or heavy rain and perhaps flooding? And then talk about the impacts of what we can expect. So here we are in GeoCollaborate. This is what's called the Winter Storm Severity Index, the WSSI. This is produced by the folks at the National Weather Service at the Weather Prediction Center. It's really an indication, a visual indication of where will impacts be felt from winter weather. So I showed you that path of snow accumulation in the model. This is where the National Weather Service says transportation and critical infrastructure may be impacted in these areas. In the yellow areas, the orange, the red, and also up towards the Great Lakes here, you can see that in the red area. I'll tell you what, let me bring on the legend here so you can see what's going on and what that looks like. So that's what these colors pertain to. And I really want to focus on the moderate and major impacts. So that's the orange and the red. This particular field that I'm showing you is the overall winter precipitation. Okay, so this is a combination of the snow, the sleet, the freezing rain that will impact transportation and operations and also critical infrastructure. So what I'd like to do now is turn that off. Okay, turn the winter storm impacts off because I want to pull out just the snow. Where is the snow likely to fall? And here we have it right here. So these are impacts that are going to be felt here. And what I'm going to do is refresh this screen. Stand by 1 second. Okay, now I'm back. I just wanted to make sure this was the latest data that I was showing you. Okay, and it is. So here is where the snow accumulation impacts will be the greatest. This is snow amount. So we're talking here perhaps snow of 10 to perhaps 12 to 15 inches in some cases from Kansas City to St. Louis, perhaps just north of St. Louis, slightly north. And then to the south here, these are areas which are going to be treacherous driving. Take a look at the legend up top. Moderate. The moderate impacts really mean hazardous driving conditions when you're talking about snow. And major in red is the advice to avoid travel. So plan to avoid travel Sunday into Monday in these areas from Kansas into Missouri and into Illinois. And this is also extending eastward towards West Virginia and Ohio and Indiana. Indianapolis, Driving is going to become very treacherous. Now I'm going to turn the snow layer off here. And when I turn the snow layer off, I'm going to turn on another data layer. And that data layer is going to be the snow load. The snow load. Notice this is a smaller area. And what this means is, and let me zoom in on it a little bit here. What this means is in this area here, the snow load may become too great for roofs that are weak enough. So if there are old roofs or you think that your roof can't take heavy snow, these are the areas where you should be looking out. And it includes the St. Louis metropolitan area, even out towards Jefferson City, and then east across southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and including Louisville, Kentucky, and even Frankfort, Kentucky, just to the north of Frankfort. The load of snow, because it may be wet snow, could be too great for some roofs, and that means that there could be some critical infrastructure impacts, perhaps collapsing of some roofs here. That's what this particular graphic is showing. The next graphic that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to turn off the snow load, is the ice accumulation over the next 1 to 3 days. This is where ice, freezing rain, could build up on power lines. So it extends from just northeast of Wichita, south of Topeka, into central Missouri, includes Jefferson City, includes St. Louis. So here it is. I'm zooming in a little bit more. Columbia, Missouri as well. These are areas where freezing rain could impact power lines. And if we were to predict where power may be impacted, it's going to be in these orange areas here. Because it doesn't take a whole lot of rain, freezing rain, to accumulate on ice to cause a lot of weight to build up. And I'll show you that in a couple graphics here just shortly. Now I'm going to move to the east here through southern Indiana. This is Evansville here, Louisville, Kentucky here, Frankfort, Lexington, Cincinnati. You're right here, right on the edge. So any movement to the north of the warm air could change your snow into some freezing rain. Doesn't look like it'll be major enough to cause power outages, but the possibility exists in this orange area, and that extends into West Virginia and also some of the valleys here in West Virginia. The higher elevations look like you'll be okay, but there could be freezing rain that mixes in. It all depends on the exact path that the low pressure takes and the precipitation that gets produced. Now, here in GeoCollaborate, I'm just panning over to the east, and these are the impacts that are expected from the snow. This will be updated more tomorrow because this is 3-day forecast. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's not really going to start snowing in the Baltimore, Washington area until later on during the day, Sunday. So tomorrow's graphic of impacts will be a different story. But remember, this is ice buildup. Not expected to be ice in the Baltimore, Washington area. So I'm going to turn off the ice accumulation and turn back on the entire winter storm impacts. And now here in the Mid-Atlantic area, from Pittsburgh, south and east to Baltimore and Washington, down to Richmond, we're talking about this yellow, minor impacts at this particular time, which ends early Sunday. Now, Sunday night into Monday is probably going to be orange over this area. We'll update that in our video update during the day tomorrow. So that's what these impacts look like. It's called the Winter Storm Severity Index. And I'll give you the bigger picture here. Now look east of Rochester. Let's take a look at the snow belt quickly. Western New York, Syracuse, looks like you're going to get dumped on here over the next 1 to 3 days. You've been getting snow because of those strong westerly winds. Even Erie, Pennsylvania, down to Cleveland. Things will taper off there as the winds change direction. However, you're going to be getting impacted over the next 1 to 3 days even more. Snowfall totals here will be measured in feet, of course. You are used to that. But those of you expecting a northeast snowstorm with this one coming across the country, look at this. You're not going to get it. Why? Because this low pressure is going to continue to go right straight out into the ocean. It is going to develop into a pretty decent low pressure, but it's going to be moving to the east and not up the coast. Don't worry. Those snow lovers in Maine and New Hampshire and Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, Long Island, you'll get it. Don't worry. Winter is very young. So this is the big picture for where the winter storm impacts are going to be, even up into parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, Montana. You can see the cold air diving down here, and there's snow happening right now, causing slippery conditions. And so let's take a look at the watches, warnings, and advisories that are in effect right now. I'm going to turn off the winter storm impacts, but I'm going to turn on the watches, warnings, and advisories from the National Weather Service. It's like turning on a Christmas tree here. Look at all these advisories that are in effect. We even had a snow squall warning in the Washington, D.C. area that has dissipated now. That was issued just about a half hour ago. And we also have snow squall warnings, heavy lake effect snow warnings happening right here in central parts of Pennsylvania. We have winter weather advisories. We also have in western Pennsylvania these winter weather advisories. But look at this. This is winter storm warnings because winter storm, heavy snow, and ice accumulation is expected during the day Sunday. So we're 48 hours out from this, and that's why the National Weather Service issues these warnings. Here, just outside of the warning area, winter weather advisories, and these will be in effect for the next couple of days. And that snow streaming down this way, look at this, winter weather advisories, advising everyone that you're going to get some accumulation of snow and to use extreme caution when you're driving. Now, look down here in southern Missouri. This is what we just focused on with the potential for ice accumulation. There is an ice storm warning east of Springfield, Missouri, for these areas in Missouri. Now, there's a winter storm watch. There's also heavy accumulation of snow that is anticipated. So this area looks like a high probability, and we can get in here. So I can also change the base map a little bit to show you what roads might be impacted in this particular area. So we can zoom in. There's 63. There's Route 21 here. Here is 67. So here's Park Hills and Farmington. So it looks like it's an agricultural area, but there may be major ice accumulation in this area of southern Missouri, and that's why we're watching this very closely. Winter storm warnings, looks like all snow in Kansas City, St. Louis. You might mix in with some freezing rain, but you also might get some accumulation of ice. To the east, as we move forward, I've changed the base map a little bit just so you can see the roadways. These are winter storm watches, all winter storm watches here. And that continues into West Virginia. There is winter weather advisories in effect in West Virginia, but also winter storm watches. You see this one right here? There's so many in effect, I have to page through them with this arrow here. So there's a combination of winter storm watches and winter weather advisories because they're getting snow right now, but it's not part of this major system that's going to be developing. Winter storm warnings along the higher ridges of the Appalachians. And in western Maryland, look at this, winter storm warning because lake effect snows are impacting them right now. And there's also a winter storm watch in effect for Sunday. And that's what's going to be extended likely to the east. This winter weather advisory in Maryland and Delaware is in effect because of today's snow, the snow squalls that are moving through. Then we're going to be seeing, there's a special weather statement out. We'll be seeing winter storm watches issued for the mid-Atlantic area probably tonight or tomorrow morning. It's also going to get windy. Look at this. Down towards the Appalachians through western North Carolina, a wind advisory, particularly as this strong low pressure system moves through. Not only is it going to be windy, but look at this. In higher elevations, not just a wind advisory, but a winter weather advisory. So those folks that are still recovering from Hurricane Helene and that damage, which will happen for a long, long time, are going to be under the gun again for cold, windy, wet, and frozen weather. And we're having advisories down here in Georgia, southern Georgia, northern Florida for the agricultural interests for frost and freeze, which looks like that's going to happen for a duration of period that's probably going to exceed a couple of days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday. So we'll update you on that as well. So the United States is lit up with watches, warnings, and advisories. This is what's going on the West Coast from that low pressure system I showed you from the satellite imagery. Let me turn off that winter storm severity index legend. And even up in Alaska, things are rocking and rolling there. Lots of times gale warnings and storm warnings are issued there along the Aleutians because of those strong low pressure systems. And we even have winter weather advisories. This blue one here is a cold weather advisories. This is Sunday into Monday. Snowfall forecast in this strip of 5 to 8 inches in white, and also a strip of 12 inches or more. Look at that gradient too. It's really going to be cutting off where that freezing rain, sleet comes in. But a 12-inch wide path is possible from Kansas and Nebraska, extreme southern Iowa, from Kansas City to St. Louis, through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, northern Kentucky, into West Virginia. There are some isolated cases, looks like right now in the Baltimore-Washington area, about 5 to 8 inches of snow. Some local amounts could exceed 8 inches if this system is an overperformer. So I wouldn't be surprised in some areas to see snowfall totals close to a foot of snow in the mid-Atlantic area. That's certainly going to be more snow than we've seen in the mid-Atlantic over the last 3 years. 2022 was a big snowstorm, 8 to 12 inches that closed I-95. People were stuck on that road for 24 hours in Virginia because they couldn't get the road cleared. But what I'd like to show you is the importance of freezing rain and taking precautions and paying attention when freezing rain does fall. Why? Because 1/4 of an inch of ice can add 500 pounds of weight to trees and power lines. If that causes temperatures, if that causes power to go out, and you need to start generators, please do not start a generator inside your garage, near a window where that carbon dioxide can go inside. Definitely not in your house. Not in a carport. Still dangerous there as well. Away from the house, you should start your generator and make sure you have enough fuel to power it for a couple of days. Cracked water, gas, and oil pipelines, not because the oil and the gas freezes, but because of the freeze-thaw on the external part of the pipe does weaken the pipe. In some cases, that could cause leakage. Okay, so I showed this yesterday, but I got a couple of good comments about it, so I'm just going to show it quickly again. Please gas up your car if you're going to be in these areas. You never know when you're going to need to go out, if it's an emergency or not. Please don't drive out in the snow or particularly the ice, that freezing rain. But these are things that you want to have in your car: a first aid kit, jumper cables, a spare tire, flares, sand or kitty litter, a tow rope, blankets, a snow shovel and brush, flashlight, mittens, hats, boots, and warm clothes, extra clothes, because if you get stuck, you're going to need that to stay warm. You can't leave your engine running the entire time, especially if you're in a rural area and you don't have a lot of folks that might know where you are. A charged cell phone is really critical. Make sure you keep that plugged into your car when it's operating. Keep that cell phone battery charged so you can call for help if you do need it. Be prepared. Impacts to society. Look at this. Winter death statistics for ice and snow. 70% of deaths occur in automobiles. 25% of the people are caught in the storm that pass away. And the majority are males over 40 years old. Here are the same statistics for exposure to cold, not just snow and ice. 50% are people over 60. More than 75% are males. And about 20% occur in the home. In the commercial facilities, this is what we were talking about with the roofs perhaps being compromised by heavy snow, right on the borderline of where the rain wants to turn to snow, but it becomes a wet, heavy snow. You could have higher rates of frozen and burst pipes. Facilities along rivers may see less water flow, may see unknown loads resulting in roof collapses. Increased energy costs for sure because of the cold air and how long that cold air is going to stick around. And of course, icy parking lots and garages could lead to slippage. And that is not good if you fall down. Please watch out for yourself. And also, in times like this, please watch out for your neighbors. They love when you do that, and it could save their life.